Greetings, all you miraculous people out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with another episode review of Miraculous Ladybug. This time it's the Season 3 episode, Party Crasher. Now, this episode, it's both been a long time coming, but also a dreaded episode for me, and a problematic one at that. And highlights a problem I've kind of been having in terms of the Miraculous Ladybug series in general. And I'll bring more about that up as we get towards the part. But first, we have to get into the whole first two-thirds of this episode. So let's get into it properly. We start off with Adrian talking with his friend, Wime, who is the fan that he had, who was very excessive with him and dressed like him. We even see that here he's pretty much dyed his hair to be the same as Adrian. And well, Wime just really wants to hang out with Adrian, and Adrian is kind of down with that. Unfortunately, his dad's just so strict that that would never happen. He would never be allowed to really have friends just solidly over. But Wime is really intent on just hanging out with Adrian, giving him some fun for the most part, just letting him experience life of a normal kid. But, Adrian doesn't really feel that that'll ever truly happen. Despite Plagg just telling him to go out and try to enjoy himself, it's very doubtful he'll ever really be able to. And that's just the sad nature of Adrian's life, honestly. That his father is probably his biggest obstacle. He has all these toys and stuff, but, that gets boring after a while if you don't have anyone to enjoy it with. Meanwhile, we see that Adrian's father is apparently out on a business trip, but in truth, this is all a bit of a ruse, as the true Mr. Agress is actually in the garden with his cryogenically frozen wife, and we see that he has actually come here to harvest the various butterflies that he uses in order to akumatize others. So we're seeing where he actually gets those from. Meanwhile, Nino is meeting up with the gang, the boys from his class for the most part, and he's basically just trying to get the plan ready so that he and the others can actually go in and see Adrian. He's set up all these rules and he's really scoped this out. His seems to have been a really long-standing plan for him. And when, oh god, I'm completely blanking on his name. When Ivan, proposes that they were supposed to go to the riverside in order to plant some trees, of environmental tasks, Nino has come up with all these excuses as to why the four boys will be unable to attend. And while Ivan feels like this isn't that great, we're kind of just lying to our other friends, he feels that this is the best course of action. A small number of people going in to see Adrian is the best way of just doing things. Well, it sucks that they can't go and help out. They feel like this is the best time to do this. This is their only chance to really give Adrian just a fun day with his boys. So they end up calling all the girls, using all the excuses that Nino has given them. When the girls receive it and tell him to Marinette, she immediately feels that something is going on and gives an excuse of her own. We see that Nino's plan for getting past Adrian's bodyguard was using the fact that the bodyguard is actually really interested in superhero figures, using one of Miss Majestic in order to bypass the guard. Majestia, there we go, that's her name, in order to bypass the guard, which is actually very interesting. We're actually learning something about this guard, who honestly we don't really know too much about on a whole. But they managed to get in and constantly use different action figures to get further and further in for so, nice little moments. They really come prepared for any eventuality, and they manage to make it all the way up to Adrian's room with the excuse that they're simply here to work on a group project. But as soon as the bodyguard leaves, they're ready to party. Adrian doesn't know how to respond to this as he doesn't want to get in trouble. But when he sees that all of his friends are kind of disappointed that they came all this way for nothing, he decides to relent and at least hang out for just a little while. Nothing too crazy, hopefully. But the boys are immediately enraptured by Adrian's house with oh man, I am really just bad with all these names. With Li Chen going for the bath, as he's always down for a swim, Ivan enjoying the foosball table, Max looking over Adrian's video game library, and Nino just loving the arcade cabinets. We even see that Adrian also has a piano that is set into his floor and, rises up automatically. So this kid is just completely loaded, but he's actually having fun because he's hanging with his friends. He's actually getting to share all these different toys that he has in order to kind of keep him in his room. And, he's finally getting to kind of live it up with everyone. Meanwhile, while Tiki isn't too keen on the fact that Marinette is lying to her friends for a very selfish cause, Marinette is determined to get to the bottom of what the boys are up to, noting that Mr. Egress is on business trip, and that must be why they are all ducking out. It's because they're trying to go over to Adrian's place, and so she tries to call Ivan first off because he's bad at lying, and while Ivan immediately goes to answer it, Nino confiscates everyone's phone, saying that no, we're trying to keep this on the down low. I told the bodyguard don't let anyone in but the boys. Just don't let this get out of hand for the most part. We don't want the girls in on all of this because it might create a bigger problem. But when Marinette notices that no one's picking up, she immediately feels like that, solidifies her theory that they're at Adrian's house having fun. But, while they do feel bad about leaving Marinette out because she's another friend of theirs, Nino, rationalizes that, hey, well, she's with the girls hanging out. This is boys' night. This is all about the dudes. So we should put on some tunes and jam out. So Adrian goes into his record cabinet and pulls out some records that his mom used to have on top of everything else. But Marinette, she continues to get closer and closer to this whole situation, and especially starts to feel that something is definitely going down when she notices that Nathaniel and Mark are let in as well, confirming a lot of her suspicions, although Tiki feels that this is getting a little too far and a little too out of hand. Meanwhile, as they turn on the music and the jams, Nina wants it cranked up to max volume, so Max starts tinkering around with the power system within Adrian's house, applying everything through robustness to the sound system within the house in order to get everything completely pumped and just really going at it hard. Unfortunately, this causes a massive shockwave of sound blowing everything through the streets of Paris. Now, the fact that no windows shattered from this is kind of BS, but whatever. But the power goes down everywhere, including within the underground hideout for Mr. Egress. And as he tries to go up and see what's happening to his house, the elevator shuts down and the life support system for his wife shuts down as well. And while the beats are just busting out like really intensely loud, Nino doesn't see any issues with any of this. Unfortunately, Roger Cop does, as he comes busting in and the boys have to bribe the guard once again. But they manage to downplay everything by saying that, well, we're just doing a group project, sir. Nothing out of the ordinary or really hooligan-like going on here. Funny enough, Roger Kopp actually ends up taking an interest in the foosball table, playing around with the kids and having a great time. And the next thing you know, you have the photographers coming in because Adrian has a photo shoot, but it ends up just being a wacky fun time with everyone just goofing off, having fun, just playing around, and it just really starts to escalate from there. Meanwhile, Marinette tries to get in only to be completely denied because of Nino's request. But then Jagged Stone shows up and Luca for some reason, and I'm just like, wait, Luca? I didn't even know you and Adrian were that cool. Like, I knew you were pretty good friends, but now Luca's hanging out with Adrian as well? But then everyone shows up. Everyone and anyone shows up, as long as they're a dude for the most part. It really gets crazy. But Adrian seems to be having a pretty good time, and so is Nino for the most part. And it even gets to the point where Marinette dresses like a dude in order to be allowed access. But when she gets inside, she finds none other than Master Fu in there as well, just kind of hanging out. And when she questions, isn't he supposed to be guarding the Miraculous, he actually brought them with him in an ice cooler. Which I'm just like, dude, what the heck is going on? Like, this episode is so crazy and just completely out there, and it's fun. I'll give you that. It's completely fun. Like, it's just ridiculous, silly, and fun. But everyone's jamming out to this one band called Station Nation, which is kind of a pastiche over the Village People and their song of the YMCA. And oddly enough, everybody who would be a member of this team, of this band, is kind of in attendance. A sanitation worker, fireman, fencer, baker, cop. All they need is the biker, the last component in order to actually put on the performance of Station Nation. However, Adrian points out that they do have a biker in attendance, the disguised Marinette, and she ends up dancing along with everyone else to this chilled out groove. And as Master Fu and Li Chen actually end up dancing together, Master Fu ends up taking a tumble only to be saved by Li Chen, who, goes on to say that when Master Fu asks questions why he would, be so quick to help an old man, he just says, well, it's always good to help out others, showing Master Fu that he has a good and kind heart. Meanwhile, Hawkmoth is determined to get the power back on, having broken out of his elevator and wanting to immediately get things back on for his wife so that she can be preserved. But when he notices that there's no hate he can draw from to bring out an Akuma, he questions why there seems to be nothing but joy coming from his house, wondering what's going on up top. Meanwhile, the bodyguard no longer is able to hear the doorbell because he put in earbuds because of the loud music, so he's just off playing with his toys. But we also see that William has also come in to join the party for the most part, but because he wasn't able to get in, he starts to question if maybe Adrian lied to him about not being able to have any friends over, and he feels very disappointed and dejected because of this, leaving him prone to Hawkmoth to send out an Akuma and akumatize the joke glasses he brought along for the party. Being dubbed Party Crasher, Wham is given the ability to take back control of Mr. Aggress's house and kick out all these uninvited guests. So he is fully turned into Party Crasher, an almost unstoppable Akuma with the ability to trap people and things in the various mirrors of his disco ball fists. And he manages to get in, and we see another ability of his, being able to predict people's movements and body language, allowing him to easily bypass their defenses and trap them within his mirror balls. And as Marinette unfortunately is unable to keep up with the rhythm, exposing herself to the entirety of the crowd, who probably are just wondering why she's dressed that way, in comes Party Crasher, crashing the party and trapping various people. And so Marinette and Adrian have no choice but to run away to the various corners to transform. But as Party Crasher, takes out Robuscus and gets the grid back online, Hawkmoth also wants to use this as an opportunity to get Ladybug and Cat Noir's Miraculous as they show up. Unfortunately, Party Crasher is able to predict all of their movements, and when Ladybug and Cat Noir try to figure out a best way in order to take him down, she brings out her lucky charm, which is oddly enough a cassette tape, which kids nowadays would know nothing about. Unfortunately, before Ladybug can actually use her lucky charm, she is immediately taken by Party Crasher, much to my surprise because I was not expecting her to just be taken out on the spot. And while Cat Noir immediately tries to go in and save her, Master Fu says, "Look, you need to think smart about this. You need backup." But Cat Noir doesn't listen, so he hands off the Miraculous to people who have also actually previously held them in the past. And so, just as Party Crasher starts to gain the upper hand against Cat Noir, and it starts to look like he might be in a bit of trouble, he is suddenly met by other miraculous holders of the past, namely Pegasus, as well as, what was his name again? Viperion, who is Luca, as well as Carapace, who is Nino. So you have Max as Pegasus, Luca as Viperion, and Nino as Carapace. And if you're kind of thinking, wait, we've never seen Luca and Max get their Miraculous or become embroiled in the fight against Hawkmoth, that's because this episode was very much aired out of order, no matter who you were. That's the thing. This is technically supposed to be the 20th produced episode of Season 3. I've left links up top in little cards, well, at least when I get around to those reviews, of when Pegasus and Viperion actually appear. But, because of the way that I don't know who is behind when these episodes are put out, but no matter where you go, this episode comes out before Pegasus and Viperion actually appear. Pegasus, what were the episodes that they're supposed to appear in? It should have been just put up in the little cards up top, but here we go. Viperion appears in the episode Desperada, and Pegasus appears in the episode Star Train, which is just like, well, where are those episodes? Well, they haven't come out yet. No matter where you're looking for them, whether you're watching this series on Netflix or you're watching it internationally, this episode comes out before any of that, which really spoils a lot of the excitement of seeing them gain these Miraculous. It's not a matter if you were trying to keep up as best you could, not going to any external sites or external links or any of this. You're being spoiled because of this, and that was really a bummer, and it's a discredit to the hard work and effort that the writers actually put in, because nobody's able to enjoy these episodes in the way they were supposed to be presented. And this was always a problem with Ladybug. Episodes would always be aired out of order, but that normally didn't matter too much because usually a character might appear in the background or a small detail might be here or there that you'd be like, wait, what is that? And it just pop up later down the line and you realize, okay, that's appearing out of order. But it would be minor stuff in seasons 1 and season 2. But season 3, it just has characters just appearing so far out of order. And what's worse is this is the most, continuity heavy season of this series. And to drop the ball like this is just really unforgivable to a certain extent, because no matter where you're watching it, you get thrown off because you're not expecting this. It just comes out of nowhere. Two characters gain great powers, and that's the one thing a lot of people look forward to, seeing who gains a miraculous next. And this isn't just a result of the fact that Jeremy Zag, the series creator, has a tendency to tweet out, oh, this person is going to become a miraculous holder, this person is going to become a miraculous holder. It's just, the series has just been spoiling itself left and right, and it's really kind of a bummer. But that's neither here nor there in the show proper. Hawkmoth warns Party Crasher of Viperian's special ability called Second Chance, an ability that allows him to turn back time for a few seconds, which, thanks, good to just know that's how that works out of nowhere. So he activates the ability before the start of the battle. And as Nino ends up being, struck by Party Crasher's ipability and sealed away, Viperian activates his Second Chance and jumps in order to block the attack. So, bye-bye Viperian. And while Carapace does his best in order to take down Party Crasher, he's taken out. Pegasus tries and is also taken out, and so is Cat Noir after a little bit of effort. Everyone is taken down left and right. So if this is your debut episode of Pegasus and Viperion, congratulations, you got to see them get easily just taken down like it was nothing. And so Master Fu is at a bit of a loss, feeling that he has to find somebody else to take up a miraculous and fight. And that other person ends up being Li Chen, who has also spoiled in getting a miraculous because Jeremy Zag put it up that, hey, this is the new miraculous holder, King Monkey, and it was very obviously Li Chen, and it's just like, why do you keep spoiling this? The thing that we've been looking forward to ever since we found out there are more miraculous out there, and it just keeps being spoiled in one way, shape, or form. It was unavoidable to see these at some point because it's either because of the air order, because you follow Miraculous Ladybug's social media, or what have you. You have to be just completely controlled in how you view this series in order to actually view things properly. It's really just a bit of a shame. But Li Chen ends up meeting his miraculous holder Shipu, is Kwame Shipu, and they immediately kind of get off to a bit of a rocky start because of Li Chen's bit of a childish nature. But we see that the miraculous is actually the Monkey King's crown, if you've ever seen any kind of to the West story, and he's told to say showtime, so it's Zhenpu showtime, and he transforms into Monkey King, or King Monkey. And as Hawkmoth communicates to Party Crasher about the fact that, hey, send me Cat Noir and Ladybug's miraculous, so Party Crasher, turns his mirror ball boxing glove fists into a helicopter to transport them to Hawkmoth. In comes King Monkey, ready to take on Party Crasher with his own special ability called Uproar. I think it's called Uproar. And it's just this ability that brings out, of all things, a banana, oddly enough. And he tosses the banana at Party Crasher, only for it to seemingly do nothing. But in reality, it causes Party Crasher's powers to go haywire, turning that mirror ball, the mirror ball boxing gloves that turn into a helicopter into now a pinata, and his prediction abilities completely go haywires and just completely all over the place. So King Monkey destroys the pinata, freeing everyone who was trapped within. And as Party Crasher regains his mirror glove boxing gloves, Ladybug uses her miraculous vision in order to figure out how to use the cassette. And as she orders Carapace to provide them shelter, she also has Pegasus use his special ability, which is called Voyage, in order to get them something that can actually play the cassette, namely a boombox. And of course, the only person who would have a boombox is Marinette's old-fashioned grandpa. So she puts in the cassette, plays the song, which is just the same Sanitation Nation song from before. But she rationalizes that their best way in avoiding Party Crasher's tactics is to use a similar method as King Monkey's ability and just move all over the place and try to confuse him in terms of their movement, which works phenomenally. They're able to immediately confuse how he thinks about how they would attack. So they're easily able to completely overwhelm him, take off the glasses containing the Akuma, shatter it with Cat Noir's Cataclysm, and Ladybug purifies the Akuma and sets everything right with the Miraculous Ladybugs. And so the day is saved by our 6 young heroes. The most we've actually had in an actual episode. Usually we max out at 5, but c'est la vie. So as everyone sets about cleaning up Adrian's house in order to make it seem like there was no party going on when Aggress was out, Adrian ends up apologizing to Wham, because he really didn't want a party going on. He didn't expect his friends to come in and throw him a party. It just kind of happens. Although Wham is just happy that Adrian was actually able to have some fun, and he's content with just cleaning up Adrian's room with everyone else. So it's a bit of a good time, a bit of a fun time for everyone as they just play cleanup, as Nino apologizes for lying to Marinette and the others, and not including them on everything that was going on here, feeling that if they were allowed in on the plan, they might have been able to get things to go a little bit more smoothly. But they both say that ultimately they did everything for Adrian because they care about him. And so they have a bit of a laugh, a good time, and they end up all going out in order to help plant trees with everyone else, with Mr. Aggress being unable to speak out on this because, well, he's not even supposed to be there. He's supposed to be in Tokyo. And Mr. Aggress goes about vowing his vengeance once more upon Ladybug and Cat Noir, ending the episode. This episode really did leave me a bit frazzled. I'm so all over the place because it was just so frustrating that I couldn't be excited by seeing Luca become Viperion or Max becoming Pegasus. And even when it came to Li Chang, I was spoiled on that because I follow Jeremy Zag's Instagram. Like, he straight up spoiled it. I'm just like, dude, what the heck? So I really want to know if this is going to continue to happen, because there's even when it came to Bunnix, I ended up just narrowly avoiding being spoiled by Jeremy Zag. But there's another character as well I got spoiled because I followed Jeremy Zag's Instagram. So I'm just waiting for that to run its course. But we have 2 more seasons, and man, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening in terms of how these episodes are released, but it needs to be fixed and addressed because this was an egregious decision and it completely throws everything off. Any form of excitement or, happiness that I could have got for seeing more miraculous holders come into the fray was kind of downplayed by just how annoyed I am because I didn't get to see their first steps as superheroes. But an overall fun episode. Is always cool to see more miraculous holders come into play and just continuing to see Master Fu's selection process, unlike others who end up being chosen by Marinette. He was the one who directly chose Li Chen as a miraculous holder. And, it'll be good to see them come into play later down the line. But with more increasingly troubling villains out there, will these miraculous holders be able to hold their own as the odds continue to be stacked against them? We'll just have to wait and see, but definitely tell me your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. How did you feel about the way that this episode was aired? Or do you feel that ultimately it didn't matter too much to you, that you were able to enjoy it regardless? And how did you feel about this episode in general? And the fact that basically most of the miraculous holders ended up not really being able to stand up against Party Crasher. Like, this was the one Akumatai's villain who's been able to just take down so many miraculous holders in one fell swoop. But thanks to Monkey King, everything was alright. And how do you feel about Monkey King? How do you feel about Viperion? How do you feel about Pegasus? And are you looking forward to seeing more of their actions and abilities in the future? Again, tell me everything in the comment section below. If you liked this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I did wrong in the comment section below so I might better myself for future videos. And subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you never miss out on another out of place episode of Miraculous Ladybug. Just gotta wait on those first appearances by Viperion and Pegasus. Just, won't be as exciting as before, but I'll try to sound surprised when I get around to it. And if you want to find me on social media, just Google Duuz-Diz-Din. I'm everywhere, for better or for worse. And in this case, apparently for worse. Should have stayed off the internet. Until next time, I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I want you to remember that by having friends by your side, there's nothing you can't overcome, because they'll always be there for you in order to give you a raucous good time. Till next time, bye-bye.